Awesome. So, I wasn't going to do this originally, but I am going to do a quick tutorial on how to make a little turntable animation for your project. It's going to be a little less professional, kind of chill tutorial type thing. It's going to be a fast one. It's going to be like 10-15 minutes, but you can see the duration of the video yourself. I am going to go ahead and start with, I had to restart my computer because I was having a little glitch with my webcam software. But here you can see that since I did just open up Maya for the first time, this computer session, I did get this warning, could not find appropriate startup camera. And I just want to quick hop into that and show you that, yeah, it used the front camera instead. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go panels, orthographic, top, problem solved. And that's all I really need to say about that. So when you're doing this, probably should have tested to see that if it was working this time. When you're doing a turntable animation, or any animation, you're going to want to have a different camera than your default perspective camera. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to name it in the attribute editor, render cam. And so we just have a different camera that we're going to use to render. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to hop in here. There's a much faster way to get to this. Click on here, render settings. And we're just going to go through this really quick before we actually set up the video itself, the animation. Remember what I said? Like, I think it was the first video. Always render in at least full HD. There's no reason not to be. So image size, you can just hop into full HD. It'll take care of that for you. For this, if you choose not to use lights for it, which is up to you, up to you to use or not to use. But if you don't use lights, then you'll probably just want to use Maya software because it's going to be faster than Mental Ray. But if you're going to be using lights, then you're going to want to do that. I'm not going to touch this. I'm just going to do common settings for now because this is what we're going to worry about. For alpha channel, do you want an alpha channel? Usually, no. You don't want an alpha channel because your images are going to be smaller, and therefore the video is going to be a little smaller. Depending on what algorithm you do to render out, what software you're using to render out. So I'm just going to choose, it looks like it hasn't updated the camera name in here, so I'm just going to just do perspective 1 because that's what it used to be called. Actually, where's our camera? Yeah, so let's name it an outliner. I named it in the wrong node. I named it in the shape node. It doesn't really matter if we did do that. We don't have to change that back or anything, but we're going to want to make sure that it's called render cam. And you can see it says perspective 1 can't be found because we changed it, and now it's render cam. HD 1080. In case I forget, and I do use Maya software, I'm just going to set this to production quality, which is it's going to set a lot of filters for us that we're going to like. Multi-pixel filter, we want that. It'll set decent stuff there. Production quality is for just a little turntable. It'll give you all the settings that you're going to think you're going to need. The biggest one here is edge anti-aliasing, and of course it's going to throw it up to highest quality because I want to get rid of that message. It's annoying. I guess I can really do anything to get rid of that. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my image format because Maya IF is terrible. JPEGs are terrible. I like Targa and PNG. They're both uncompressed. PNG can be compressed, but you can see that the compression is just blurred out for this one. For the frame, the extension really, I don't know why it says frame there, it sounds stupid, because it's frame number. You want to do name, number, extension. You can do any version, as long as extension is last, that's what's probably going to work for you best. And then you can, because things like Final Cut and MPEG Stream Clip, whatever you choose to use, they're going to want the extension last so that they can read it better. I like name underscore number dot extension. That's just my preference. And we're going to throw in 2 or 3 frame padding. It really doesn't matter. Just be safe to have more. It does matter if you don't have enough. It doesn't matter if you have more than enough. Just a little bit more space on your computer to store the name. Computers have way too much space to really be worrying about that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit 3 just because I don't know how many frames I'm going to do here. I'm going to turn off alpha channel because I don't want it. I don't want a depth channel. And I'm going to leave everything else how it is. I have enabled default light active because I don't know if I want to render in Mental Ray or Maya. And for previewing this, I want to have a light here. And it jumped my preview over to the other screen for some reason. It doesn't make sense because we want it over here. And there is our beautiful weapon. And this angle on this camera looks pretty good. I'm in the render cam. I'm going to find an angle, an initial angle that I really like. How's that? And this is why having a quick shortcut to get to that is nice. You can see it's got a lot of soft and normal, so it actually took 0.03 seconds to render, which is not a great number. Usually you want it to just be 0.01, but it is full HD for the asset, and in the game the asset's not going to be taking up the whole screen. There's going to be tens of thousands of polygons in there. Hundreds of thousands. Why did I say tens of thousands? In any scene, you're probably going to have at least 10,000. Unless you're doing a really simple game. But onto the actual things. I want to make this no more than 20 minutes. So I've got the camera here. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on my time slider and my range slider because now we are animating. I'm going to get rid of my attribute editor because it's just bothering me. I'm going to select all this and I'm going to group it together. Anything that's going to rotate with it, you're going to group it together. It automatically centers the pivot, but I like to hit center pivot anyway because sometimes you just don't trust computers. Now we are going to go ahead and I don't think there's actually anything else we need to do. We can, we're going to set how long our animation is going to be. Which actually we can modify a lot faster just by going down here, selecting the second number, and setting the range. Ah, that's why I was in here. I knew I was in here for a reason. Time slider, playback start end. I want it at 1, and end, or animation, and then I want it to end at. How long do we want this to be? Maybe 30 seconds for one rotation. It's not bad. So we're just going to do 30. It's 900. Why am I doing this? 30 times 30, 30 frames. I'm going to go to They have changed this. There used to be a animation option here. And it was 30 frames per second. It even had the NTSC like 29.09 or whatever it is for that. Hit save here. Hop back in, make sure it's still at 1. Because it used to have that animation setting, and when you hit it, it would set this to 1.1. So they've changed a few things. I'll go ahead and go in my outliner, grab my surface here. There we go, group 2. Group 1 is empty. NURB circle, I thought we deleted last time. This contains nothing. Large barrel, don't need that anymore. Don't need that, don't need that. Just cleaning out the outliner a little bit, doesn't hurt. And now I'm going to save, and then I'm going to save this again as turntable animation. It's hard to type and talk at the same time. I'm going to name this turn group. Yes. And then we're going to key rotate Y. And like I said, this tutorial assumes that you have some experience. Set this to 300. They have changed some of the stuff down here. They've rearranged some of the settings. So I keyed that at 0 here, and now I'm going to change this to 360, a full rotation, and I'm going to key that here. I actually want it to turn the other way, so I'm going to set it negative. Oh, I didn't key it, did I? There we go. Go ahead and play this. It's going to loop around. $30 seconds. It's relatively slow, but we can make another one later if we want it to be different. So now we're going to, I don't do animation a lot, so you're going to see that I'm a little bit shaky on this, and I apologize for that. And if you wanted to make it spin the other way, if you change your mind, you can always just put the frames in backwards, render backwards and whatever you're doing. I'm going to go to the general editor, graph editor, or that's an animation editor, I bet. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select my group. I rotate Y. I'm going to select these. I'm going to change them to linear tangents. Because I don't want it to slowly pick up like it did at the start there. I want it to immediately... I keep thinking play because I'm using so many video editing softwares now, space for play. And now you can see that it starts up at the rate that we want it to. at the rates that it's going to be constant. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. And it turns around. Beautiful. I like it. Escape, stop playback. It even says it down in the mel bar. Script return, what was that called? Command response. Like I said, guys, I was trying to make this a little more laid back. We're at 15 minutes, we're doing fine. Now we're going to change the camera. We're going to turn on this one, the blue one with the white background. It's called resolution gate. And that's going to set it to, you can see, 1920 by 1080. We're going to zoom in here, make sure nothing's getting cut off. Ooh, something is. So I'm going to go down a wee bit. Not getting cut off there, not getting cut off there. We're getting close. We can turn on film gate. Film gate says we're fine, actually. But we're going to want it a little bigger for when we put it in Final Cut. There we go. We've got space to move around here. We can go ahead and I'm going to save this and just do another _1 on there. Why not? No, I don't plan on having too many iterations of this. And one of the things about saving in iterations, I was thinking about this earlier, Maya files are very small. Unless you have like entire environments and scenes and stuff, then they can start getting a little bigger. But still, I've never had a Maya file more than 75 megs. Don't be afraid to save and save differently as much as you can. That's not what this tutorial is about, though. I'm going to try and not go on tangents. I'm going to try and fail. So we've got this rotating around. We've got it so that it's not so close that we're afraid it's going to cut off when we render out of anything else. Just looking at the sides. The top is plenty of space. This is plenty of space, but I don't want to change my angle too much because I like it. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just hop in, do a couple test renders, make sure that we're getting stuff that we like. Looking good, looking good. Sexy. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to render out our first example of this. And I don't know what's going to happen if I try and render this while I'm recording the screen, because it's going to try and use all the rendering power that it can. I'm gonna tell it to render with less cores. No, I'm going to tell it to go ahead and render with full cores. I'm going to pause the video when we get to the rendering stage. So you can go over to your rendering tab here as a quick way to get to it. And you know I'm a fan of quick solutions. But in fact, I don't even know how to get to it the other way. Batch render here. Show batch render. Don't click that. There's no use. There's no reason for it. I'm just going to double check my settings so I'm not like a fool here. As I said, I have frame padding, I have Targa. So I ain't going to be no fool. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double click this. I'm going to see, I haven't rendered a lot in Maya 2013. In Maya 2012, I have an i7 processor from 2010, which is a dual core, but it acts like a quad core because it has the hyperthreading. So you might have to click this off and just hit the number of threads that you know you have, or it might not use them all. I saw when I was batch rendering, I've got my activity monitor open on this screen here, and I was seeing that it was jumping up when I was previewing it. So then once you have all your settings done, it's going to render out to your images folder. Make sure you have your project set. I already know that my project is set. I'm going to set it again just to be sure, because I did have to turn off because of that webcam issue. And then I'm going to batch render and close. Now, I don't want to lose you guys and lose the video. Actually, I'm not going to risk it. But in Maya 2012, what will happen is down here they'll pop up a render monitor icon. Quit that, because that takes up a lot of RAM. I think it has a memory leak in it. That's all it was in 2012. I don't know if it still exists now, but in 2012 there is a memory leak associated with it, and you're going to want to quit out of it, or else it'll suck up all your system memory, and then it doesn't matter how much CPU power you have, it's not going to be able to render very fast. So I'm going to pause the video so I can render, and then show you where to go from there. Fastest render ever. Am I right, or am I right? I didn't pull up my preview window, so give me a second. I'm staring at nothingness. There we go. So, fastest render ever, right? This is... There we go. So obviously the key to rendering is making sure that you stare at the computer the entire time. Now, go do something. I don't know how long it took, but it probably took about half an hour. It's because we are rendering in full HD. What you gonna do? So you can see that it's saved to your project file and to your images folder. And we can pop one open, and we can just walk through it. Beautiful, and that's full HD. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you can accept nothing less. 720 maybe, in certain circumstances. So we've got our files here, and if anything is going to take up a lot of space, it's your images. Because look at that, 5.6 gigabytes of data. That's starting to feel a little more like animation, like film, you know. I used to be into editing a lot, and when I started working with Maya, I was disappointed with how small the files were. And I was like, I feel like I'm not doing anything here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to open up MPEG Streamclip, because this is probably the fastest way to do it. And probably the smartest way. It's the cheapest, fastest, and, you know, great. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open Files. Go to Portfolio Projects for my tutorials. Images. And open. Okay, it doesn't like it. Does this not use target files? You've learned something new today. MPEG Streamclip doesn't take target files. That's fine. We've got Final Cut. Final Cut does take target files. I thought I'd done it in MPEG Streamclip before. It's weird. And actually, I did make a mistake in the rendering. I had it rendering frames 1 through 10. You should set it to render your whole video. Okay. So, I'm using a really old version because, unlike some people, I actually own it, but I can't afford to upgrade it. This is another project that I did. I did it for a friend. New project. Go ahead and close out of this. Why not? And now we're going to import files. And we're going to go to my YouTube stuff, images, all of them except the temporary folder. And we're going to give it a minute while it imports them. And you should know how to do this. I already have it set in Final Cut. You have to set the length of the still frame to 1 frame. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to let this do its thing. It's going to take a decade and a half to prepare the video for display. I'm going to go ahead and pause for that. Alright, so I went ahead and I rendered it as well, so we can just jump in here, see our nice little preview here. Looking good, looking good. You'll see that we might want to go ahead and later change the lights for it. But just for the sake of this quick demo, not going to do that. Looking good. And then we're just going to export. You know, nothing special. Go ahead and do QuickTime Movie. Settings. H.264. Best quality. Frames automatic. Okay. I'll definitely set it to that. Size. HD 1920 by 1080 because we use nothing less. Okay. And I'm going to do fast start for YouTube. Okay. Save it to the desktop as LPI10 underscore turntable movie. And hide extension. Save. And we're rendering again. Yeehaw. About a minute? Yeah, right. 2 minutes? Maybe. For a 30-second HD video? Nah. Go ahead and pause again. Yay, rendering! Oh, don't worry. It's so much more fun than UV mapping. I give UV mapping a hard time. Say that like it's a person. I'm going to pause now. Alright, so now that we've got this video rendered out, you can see there it is on the desktop. You can go ahead and double click that, open it up, and you can already see we compressed it using MP4 formats, which are really designed to give you a really small file and better streaming capabilities because it's smaller file, smaller bitrate, etc. But, you know, kind of lose a little bit of quality. And it might be hard for you to tell exactly the amount of quality being lost because you're watching it on something that's also being converted. So we're getting kind of a VHS effect going here because this video is a MP4, and then the one that you're going to be watching this on is also an MP4, which is highly compressed, which is another reason to always use full HD, because if you lose a little bit of quality, well, it's still going to be between mid HD 720 and 1080. So always use full HD. Yeah. Still getting used to like the inverted webcam thing. The preview for ScreenFlow gives me one in the right order. So now that you've got that done, really, there's nothing else to say. Now that I think about it, you're done. You can go ahead and add lights if you want to. You can add a background. Something that I like to do sometimes is take 3D text and put that here, so that you're not going into Photoshop and getting something that's not going to match the style of the 3D. But that's really up to you. I'm going to throw something together real quick in Photoshop to toss on top of it and then re-render it out. And that's really all there is to it. So hope this was helpful. At least that little trick in the graph editor, if anything, helped you out. And that's it. Like I said, it's going to be a quick, chill tutorial. Jumped around a lot, and a lot of rendering time. And I'm going to restart my computer before it kills me because it's out of RAM. So I'll see you guys next time.